Friends, good evening. This is Dipti Mehta, insolvency professional. And after a long time, again, I'm coming back for this insolvency webinar. Thanks. It's really feeling good for being joined. And after a long time, I'm connecting with you all people. So today's topic is insolvency, running the business during CIRP period of running company. This is a very unique topic in the sense all IPs, insolvency professional, suffer in this or enjoy that. If the company is running, then the IP has to be careful how he or she will manage, whether employee will support, whether I'll get record, whether I know the business, whether all employee at present is there will stay or not, how that material will be there, cash will be available, business will be carried out, which notice will come, which demand will come, we don't know. So various questions. If it is a running company and you are appointed as a IRP, it's like you have to do so many things in hours. And hence today's topic is basically not PPT, but a sharing experience. And we have with us experience and very knowledgeable IP, my friend, Mr. Ravindra Beleyurs. Mr. Ravindra, welcome to this webinar. Thanks for your time. To introduce Mr. Ravindra, he is an insolvency professional, is currently proprietor of Beleyurs and Associate CA firm based in Bangalore. And it works focused mostly on insolvency professional. As a Mr. Ravindra, he was in for many years in international education and work experience. He has worked in UK, Indonesia, and India. He has 16 years industrial experience before starting his own practice. And also he has done MBA from UK. He has done insolvency, international insolvency. Okay, and then he's going to become ACIM UK and insolvency professional or registered valuer. So he's a registered valuer of financial asset, a certified fraud examiner USA, and has also completed global insolvency professional course of Insol during 21-22. Welcome, such a big profile and experience. So all our participants will surely get experience and knowledge from you, Mr. Ravindra.
Thank you. Thank you for your kind introduction. And it is my pleasure to be present along with you in this program.
Thank you. And I will like to give some that 1 minute, you will say something on the topic, your views on the topic. Just 1 minute as an introduction talk.
Yeah, see, there are many challenges for an IP, whether it is a running concern or whether it is a going concern or otherwise. If it is a going concern, the issues are more starting with getting the custody and control of the business. As Dipti ji shared, whether there is interim finance required for running it as a going concern, whether to run it as a going concern or not, whether to run going concern even when it is making losses. There are huge issues. And apart from these issues, of course, all issues involve human management. I think that is what I shall share and stop at that point of time. And we shall, as we go along, we shall share anything further.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, Jasveen, you can start.
Good evening to the esteemed panelists and all the participants. It's my pleasure to have this opportunity to share my presentation on this dynamic topic and a much required one, which is managing the corporate debtor as a going concern under CIRP. So the extracts from the BLRC report, which is the main document, the genesis, wherever the interpretation of IBC is concerned, and the provisions and statements that particularly talk about managing the corporate debtor as a going concern and why is that important. So the BLRC report states that for some firms, the right answer after default is to directly send into liquidation, but there may be many situations in which a viable mechanism can be found, wherein the firm can be protected as a going concern. To the extent that this can be done, the cost imposed upon the society go down, as liquidation involves the destruction of organization capital. So this states that in case of liquidation, there is a lot of cost imposed on the society. So anytime a going concern continuation is preferable. Thereafter, it states that the main emphasis of IBC is to arrive at a resolution of the corporate debtor in a time-bound manner for the maximization of the value of the assets. This can be achieved only when the corporate debtor is kept as a going concern entity, thereby preserving the value of its assets. Statutory provisions under IBC having specific reference to the corporate debtor being continued as a going concern are Section 17, which states that the management of the corporate debtor shall vest with the IRP as on the insolvency commencement date and thereon. The officers and managers shall be required to report to the IRP. Financial institutions shall strictly act only on the basis of the instructions received from the IRP. Section 18, discussing about the duties of the IRP, states that the IRP shall collect all information relating to the assets, finances, and operations of the corporate debtor, monitor the assets of the corporate debtor and manage its operations as well. Thereafter, take custody of any assets over which the corporate debtor has ownership rights. Section 20 thereafter again expressly states that the IRP shall make an endeavor to protect and preserve the value of the property of the corporate debtor and manage the corporate debtor as a going concern. Thereafter, from the RP perspective, Section 25.
1 minute. I think go to the first slide.
Yes.
This only, sorry, no, this 17, 18.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, sorry, last you are taking 20, right?
Yes, ma'am, 20.
Yeah, sorry, yeah.
So the IRP, Section 20 states that IRP shall make the endeavors to protect and preserve the value of the assets and manage the corporate debtor as a going concern.
Now, here, Mr. Ravindra, I think here you can add your experience on 17, 18, and 20.
I think what is very important I shall share is the freezing of the debit freeze of the accounts. That is the very, very critical aspect which needs to be done when it is to do with the control and custody. So, of course, it will be known only when we know which are the bank accounts. If you are, if the financial creditor is an applicant, that would make it easier, so that you know which are the accounts. If it is a consortium also, you can know at least the account number. So if it is not a financial creditor initiated, then it would be a huge challenge. That is one aspect. Second aspect I would like to share is, this is whether you go to the plant or not the plant. This is the highest important one which you need to do. Second is when it is to do with the control and custody. It is a very huge topic, and in the sense, I don't say topic from the perspective of IRP. The reason is it is not easy in most of the cases, but the law requires you to take control and custody. It is not just a symbolic custody which banks take in most of the SARFAESI actions, but it should be a real custody. So this is a very challenging one, and a proper process which IRP or RP needs to do, take real physical custody and control of the corporate debtor is very important. It needs to be with proper video recording, proper listing of the assets, if required physical verification of the stocks, physical verification of the assets. I mean, these are all what we have done at different points of time. And as a rule, unless the management signs the minutes of the custody, I don't acknowledge that I have taken the real physical custody of the company. I think this is what I would like to share at this point. Dipti ji, you can share your experience, because you have also handled the going concern. That is what I understand. So you can share your perspective.
No,
Even
I would like to raise question, Ravindra ji.
Okay.
So now, in you say that custody of any assets, and also I think records, right?
Yes.
We have to take the records. Now, records will be physical and soft both, right? Now, soft you will take backup.
Yes.
You purchase a hard disk and take a backup.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Right. And that also based on we have to go to their IT person and get it.
Yes.
If that is possible, otherwise difficult.
Yes.
Now, physical record, how you take a control?
Physical records, there could be difference. It is quite impossible to take the entire custody on your first visit. Possibly you will take the photographs, videographs and all. The way I have taken in my cases is that as far as possible, we list down all the important files of the recent years. If they are very old years, then we may take photographs and the videographs of where those documents are stored. And sometimes we have, if it is not used regularly, we may lock it and take the keys in our custody. So this is how we have done in a couple of what you call taking custody as such. So for example, in one case where even taking custody from the RP, I have followed this because the RP was not appointed as a liquidator, but I was appointed as a liquidator. The same process, same detailed process was done even when I took custody from the IRP or RP.
But there will be volume of records in a running organization.
Yes.
So basically, and it's a running organization.
Correct.
How you take a control? Basically, you say that here this file is there, that file. It should be left at the registered office only because the company is running.
Yes. 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 Yes.
So we have to live there only. Actually, we can't take it out, and control means we can't lock also.
No.
Because we need that information.
No. What I meant is the old records. So old records where you cannot list down, then we would take it. And that's what I said. It may not be possible on the first day of your visit to the factory, and it is impossible to take the real physical custody on your physical first what you call visit. So we always make it a point to write a very detailed letter to the directors and the management to hand over whatever the documents and the records, everything. But this may not happen on the first day. So we request them what is the suitable date when they could hand it over. Sometimes that is what I said. Unless there is a signature of the management and the directors, I will not conclude that I have taken the physical custody. In couple of assignments, it has so happened that we may take the custody after 2 months or 3 months, but it is the directors who have to willingly hand over the custody. Otherwise, we would not be able to take the custody, and it is quite possible that we take the custody, and if there are any missing documents, the blame would come on the IRP or the RP. Did I answer your query? It is impossible to make the list on the first visit. That is the
Yeah,
point.
even later it is not possible. It's a huge document for the running organization of cupboards and cupboards of that documents.
No,
And also,
yes, I agree. That is why I said we would take photographs, and if it is a old records, that maybe if it is possible to lock, we would lock, take the photographs and videographs and lock it. And if it is possible if it is a running company, it has been our experience that there is at least one representative or me who is present on more or less on all the working days at the CD's facility. So in case any document needs to be taken, it is always can be taken. That is one. Second, we also inform each of the manager who is responsible for the specific department that it is his responsibility to take care and support the RP. So connected with the custody, on the first visit, we make it a point as far as possible to call for a meeting along with the directors. If the director is not present, to meet all the important heads of the departments and communicate to them what is the purpose of this process, and impress upon him that process is being done for the benefit of the company. And also, in case they have not been regularly getting the wages and salary on a month-on-month basis, we also impress upon them that we shall make sure that their wages or salaries from the date of CIRP commencement. From the date of CIRP commencement, there would be an endeavor to make sure that it would be paid as per the government, that is following 7th day of the month, not about the any dues before the CIRP commencement. So this assurance and of course, fortunately, in my cases, I was able to implement when it was a going concern. It gives a very huge support to the IRP and RP. Did I answer your query?
yeah, fine, thanks. Now, as regards third, protect and preserve the value of property. Any experience?
Okay, see here, in some ways, it is linked to interim finance in some ways. I think here, the very big challenge comes is I can say in a couple of cases where it was a going concern. The challenge is, if you run as a going concern, you are very sure that you would be making losses. And there would be what you call negative cash flow also. How to take a decision regarding whether to run or not to run the company? In case of a hospital, it was a running hospital, running at hardly 15-20 beds out of the 225 beds. Okay, naturally, you know that there is a negative cash flow. But the challenge is, can you stop the operations? And if you stop the operation, for example, in this case, maybe 20 to 30 lakhs is the negative cash flow. So you have to run for another 6 months. So what would be the implication? So can you just stop it? So no. The issue is to do with a going concern comes with the employees. For example, in a hospital, there are 140 employees, and which will include the consulting doctors, experts, and all. So if these people are not there, it would be only the physical asset. So no resolution applicant would be interested in only the physical assets, corporate debtor. So in case, for example, I had to take a very conscious decision, and it was very hard for me to convince the COC to what you call to bear these negative losses. I mean negative cash flow. And finally, of course, the COC members did not themselves finance these cash losses, but they finally they had to agree to raise the interim finance. So in this case, the decision was that we had to run it as a going concern. Similarly, is the case of another.
But you are able to raise interim finance for that company then?
Yes, yes. I was able to raise initially about 86 lakhs, and finally, when the company till it handed over, I think we raised about 2.86 crores to cover only the cash losses. And
so, but your FC only contributed, or outside you have given?
No, outside. It was outside. And and I just want to share freezing of the debit transaction. In the same assignment, I had a huge challenge. I was I was appointed as an RP replacing an IRP. Why I stress on this freezing of debit entries is, this is a case where there were litigation from the promoter. I mean, always in most of the cases, it would be there. Going to the High Court, making the stay order, so going to NCLAT and all that would be there. So in this case, what happened is that during the CIRP, there was a diversion of almost 1.8 crores. This, if that 1.8 crores were to be there during the CIRP, maybe I would not have gone for any
interim finance.
And this happened only because the people who are managing were allowed to run by the IRP. So in the lesson I take is that the first thing, if it is a going concern, if there is a balance, the first thing is to think how to make sure that debit freeze is made immediately. So that is why I stressed, when you asked the question, my mind went only to the debit freeze rather than any other aspect.
Okay, you are telling about some other case also. Sorry, I interrupted.
Other case also. This was a case where there was a contract with the railways. These are all tenders. So here also the issue was that it was running only at 15-20%, maximum 25%. But here also it would have been cash losses. But if you don't run it, the resolution applicant, whoever comes, he would be more interested in continuing the business with railways and other big infrastructure property parties. And if you don't run, then you are gone. That means the value, preserving the value would be gone. And if you stop a hospital or a factory, my view is the risk on the IRP or RP would go high, because there is every possibilities of leakages, possibilities of theft, and caution what is required by IRP, RP goes up in a very huge way. I mean, this is my thinking. There also we convinced that it has to be run as a going concern, but I was not successful in impressing on the COC to raise the interim finance, and in this case these were two banks. They also did not finance. But anyway, I was only IRP for a brief time, and somebody else was appointed. That is, but when as long as I was there, I made sure the salaries of the wages of the people were paid on priority before 7, but not for the first month, but from the second month. And it increased the trust on the CIRP to a huge extent, and they were supporting wherever it was required. Wherever I was misled, there were employees who were guiding, saying that this is happening, this item is going, so this is for your information, and we were able to stop that
Pilferage, yes.
the theft, possibility of thefts, and some materials going away without approval.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for sharing. Jasveen, yes, you can continue.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. So thereafter, regarding the duties of the resolution professional, section 25 states that it shall be the duty again of the resolution professional to preserve and protect the assets, the point that we discussed on extensively, including the continued business operations of the corporate debtor. Section 28 highlights the specific acts for which the resolution professional shall require the prior COC approval. We've just listed out certain acts related to operations, such as raising any interim finance in excess of the amount that is decided by COC would require a prior approval, creating any security interest over the assets of the company, giving instructions to the financial institutions for debit transaction exceeding a specific amount as may be decided by the COC, undertaking related party transactions for any change in management, and amending constitutional documents. So in case of, suppose there is an increase in the authorized share capital that is required, which requires amending of the MOA. So in that case, the prior COC approval would be required. Certain case laws wherein the importance of going concern have been highlighted is one of the landmark judgments of Swiss Ribbons Private Limited versus Union of India. The Supreme Court judgment specifically states that the court bifurcates and separates the interest of the firm from that of the promoters, with the primary focus to ensure revival and continuation of the firm by protecting the firm from its management that has led to the insolvent situation, and preventing the death of the corporate debtor by liquidation. Thereafter, Binani Industries Limited versus Bank of Baroda, in this judgment of the Honorable NCLAT had stated that the first order and objective of the code is resolution, second is maximization of the value, and the third is promoting entrepreneurship, and this order of the objective is sacrosanct. In Ram Ratan Modi, the RP of Duncan's Industries Limited versus State Bank of India, it was stated that the properties of the corporate debtor, which includes the amount lying in the credit of the bank account of the corporate debtor, should be available to the resolution professional to keep it as a going concern. So herein they have highlighted the importance of taking control over the bank accounts of the corporate debtor. In many cases, there are situations wherein the resolution professional is harassed, and to such an extent that there is a threat to his life. So in Anand Kajare versus Eknath Ahir and others, the Supreme Court has said that in view of apprehension expressed by the resolution professional regarding his personal safety and safety of his staff, they had directed the superintendent of police of that jurisdiction to provide protection to the resolution professional, to provide adequate security to him and the staff so that they can carry out their functions smoothly. The key considerations for managing the affairs of the corporate debtor as going concern are: one, taking control and custody of the assets and business of the corporate debtor. Second, banking institutions, that is taking control of the banking transactions. Employee management, management of sale and purchase functions, specifically when the corporate debtor is in manufacturing industry or trading industry. Thereafter, management of the MIS systems that are established in the corporate debtor, working capital management, and statutory compliance management. We'll be taking up each of this separately. So first, taking control and custody of the assets, which is one of the most important areas. So the basic functions of the IRP or RP, as the case may be, in this is visiting all the locations and units of the corporate debtor, extracting details from MCA websites, interacting with the management to understand the assets. Like Sir said, if it is a financial creditor, you can also take help from them to understand the property that has been mortgaged, etc. So extracting information from them to understand what are the assets that are owned by the corporate debtor. Ensuring that the RP and its team take videography and pictures of all the assets. This is specifically important in case of movable assets, so that they can identify in case of any theft or any untoward incident there too. Taking inventory count of all the items, preferably it should be witnessed by an independent person so that there is authenticity attached to the same. Thereafter, making reports for each visit made to the registered office and other locations. And so also advised that this should be countersigned by the management of the company. So your inputs on this, sir and ma'am both?
Yeah, see, there was an occasion. There was an occasion where some items, there are occasions when there could be theft or an attempt to theft. So when this can happen, in one of my cases, it had happened before taking over from IRP also. Then you may in this particular case, what happened is because the being, I'll put it this way. In this particular case, what had happened was the IRP had not visited there were 3 locations of the corporate debtor, and the IRP had not visited this, which was this particular unit, which was in Gujarat. And it so happened that the security was, IRP was replaced by me, and the order was not there from the NCLT. In this case, what happened is the security was continuously contacting the IRP, saying that there is some equipments and some things were loaded onto the trucks and all. It may go away and all. Somehow, I was also informed by the IRP that there is a problem, and the security also got in touch with me. That means I was only a proposed RP. Unfortunately, IRP was not in a position to leave to that place for some health reasons of his relatives or something. Then I took an initiative with the confirmation of the lead banker and went there to the spot, and something was ready to be lifted and gone out. It was stopped. Not only that, a police complaint with the authorization of the IRP was passed. And when I was appointed by the NCLT, I was present at the NCLT, and the adjudicating authority was very kind enough to pass an order which said the superintendent of police should register the IR. So why I highlighted is, if the IRP had visited the place and impressed upon the security to take care and not to allow anybody outsider without his permission, with very clear instruction, possibly the security would not have allowed these unauthorized person to enter, let alone they arranged to lift the many motors and cables and all, stating that it has the sanction of the promoter director. Whereas if they were aware that IRP is in charge, possibly this would not have happened. So fortunately, I could stop the items going away, but by that time, substantial damage was done in terms of cutting off lot of cables. This is just to highlight. I am sharing this example just to highlight what you have mentioned, visiting all the locations and units of CD is of very, very high importance. And I shall also tell another example. It so happened that I, along with the RP, visited the Guwahati plant. I was the liquidator taking over from RP. And we come to know about a refund order, which is at the Guwahati factory, which is about 1 crore plus, which has come 3 months ago.
Wow.
And no information to RP, and this IRP and RP had never visited that place. And that was an important place where the manufacturing was going on, where there were stocks. And the refund order which came in March was sleeping till we went in August, mid-August. So this is very, very important, because only when you go and impress upon the security that everything should be informed, nobody should be allowed, they take more care rather than you leave it to them on their own. So
What is
the first
your
point
view?
is, pardon?
What is your view on change in security guards, existing security guards?
In all my cases, I changed security. So, and in one case, one caveat is there. Caveat is that if you are not able to take the real full physical custody, better deploy additional security until you take the full custody. Otherwise, there can be issues as such. So my view is definitely you should change the security, but take care, make sure that there is an additional security until you take your own additional security until you take the full physical custody of the corporate debtor. Once the full physical custody is taken, please pay whatever the notice period security amount to be paid for the earlier security and get rid of them. So that is what I have done in many instances.
Thank you. Yeah, Jasveen, you can go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. Taking control and custody of the business operations, first and foremost, it becomes important to understand the nature of the business of the corporate debtor by the IRP or RP. Second, intimation of the order initiating CIRP to all the directors and key managerial personnel and requesting them for cooperations in carrying out the business operations as a going concern. Taking data backup of accounting data and to understand the actual business position as well as the financial position of the company as on CIRP commencement. Being visible at the premises of the corporate debtor and making place for yourself and your team in the corporate debtor's office so that people can come and approach you and they understand that there has been a change in the there has been the appointment of the IRP in that case. Last is getting in touch with all the main suppliers as well as main customers of the corporate debtor and reassuring them about the going concern status, because in certain cases, after the CIRP initiation, they become a little worried about what would happen with their orders. So assuring them about that.
Jasveen, I just want to make a point regarding this taking backup data.
Yes, sir.
I shall share a very interesting interesting experience. When you are taking the backup of in one of the cases where I was IRP, we came to know that the best part is the accountant was missing and we did not know the password or user ID of that particular system or any system. So we were forced to take a backup of the hard disk. In the process, we came to know that there was very important tally file, which was in the recycle bin. And that particular tally file was very, very useful for all our further work, and even for filing some avoidance transactions also. So,
Oh, my goodness.
so it so happened that particular file, the accountant has come on, in this case, 9th March, I think 8th March, the order was pronounced. I received on 9th evening from the NCLT, and on the 9th evening, this accountant must have been there at the factory, and it was time 9th night, 9 o'clock or 9:30 p.m. or something. I think he deleted the file, but forgot to empty the recycle bin, and it was very useful for us for our work. So further work. I mean, this is just one point I just wanted to share to highlight the importance of taking backup of all working systems.
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah, Jasveen.
Thank you, sir. Yes. Most important banking transactions. So first and foremost, giving an intimation to the directors and key managerial personnel not to initiate any transaction from the CIRP commencement date and onwards. Taking details of all the bank accounts of the corporate debtor along with the account number, bank name, and the branch details. Contacting the appropriate branches of the corporate debtor that is maintaining the accounts of the corporate debtor, intimating them about the CIRP initiation, and giving them instructions to act only on the instructions of the IRP or RP, as the case may be. In certain cases, the COC may also limit the quantum of the debit transactions. All banks should be asked to block debit transactions immediately. This is
Jasveen, can you go to earlier slide, please?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Acha, may limit quantum of debit transaction. Okay. Yeah.
Yes, that's under section 28. Banks should be intimated immediately about blocking debit transactions to preserve the value of the assets and not allow any tampering with the bank accounts or the money kept in the banks. RP shall become the signatory for all the operative accounts of the corporate debtor. There shall be a change in signatory. In certain cases, some banks require the opening of a special account for CIRP purpose in the name of the company. So the name is the name of the CD and CIRP account, and RP is the sole signatory in such a case.
Now, see here, I have a question. Now, see, opening a bank account is a marathon exercise, and making half of those employee of the banks that doesn't understand that company is in CIRP process. So I mean, so the simple vanilla is I'm just forwarding a order to bank stating that, look, I am the RP now or IRP, and please take this on a record, and please do not execute any of those transactions been signed by of those directors. Because see, if you're doing this, there are many other things has to be changed. For example, like OTP transactions, because unless and until bank change those things, otherwise for a simple for a bank just to stop that account. So then operating account is also going to be a big challenge. So I don't know. I mean, yeah, that's what my observations. Because if I'm been appointed, I don't know. Dipti has a lot of experience on this. So Dipti, when you get appointed, and how do you? So you continue those directors.
We generally carry out the banking. See, basically, even change in the authorized signatory is a big time. It takes time.
Yes.
So we generally just write the bank that no debit without our permission. So immediately we do that, and then we say change in the signatory. Change in signatory, they have to do KYC. They have their own process that will take time. But the moment we are there, we instruct them. So on the mail and all such, they take approval from us. Corporate also we inform that you will not do any transaction as per the law. So I was again going to refer that even though we don't know the bank account, at least what we do, we write to the management that you cannot make any payment without our approval. So even though they don't give, so we write that you give bank account detail and they don't give. But if they do the transaction, at least we have informed them, boss, that you can't make payment. So this way we are protected, and then authorized signatory comes into later. But before that, we already instruct the bank.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, just.
The main challenge is where the operational creditor is involved and there's no financial creditor in the initial stage. So then getting bank account details is a challenge in itself.
Yeah, but not necessarily financial creditor has only the main bank account. It may be different. So
Different as well, right?
Otherwise also.
Right. Employee management. So in this case, the first step that the resolution professional or IRP, as the case may be, should take is contact the head of HR and take copies of the employees and or workers attendance sheet. This is to understand the number of employees in the company and then to extract what is their estimate salary. Contacting senior employees of the corporate data becomes really important, such as the finance head, factory head, sales manager, purchase manager, marketing manager, etc. Taking copy of the contracts that the corporate debtor has entered into with the key managerial personnel to understand their scope of work and their salary structure. Thereafter, one of
only
the
challenge is we ask, but we should get. And if we get how much correct it is, that itself we don't know. Right, Mr. Ravindra? What is your experience?
Yes, but we always ask the previous months and previous periods. So if we go into that, then we should be in a position that we are not making the mistakes. But wherever it is a family managed company, the issue could be to do with the salaries were paid to people who are not really attending the office. So after the commencement of CIRP, if there any salary to be paid or wages to be paid, the checking of the attendance record and all would be our responsibility. In this, the challenge also is there as far as the salaries which were due as on the date of CIRP commencement for the previous month. That is a real challenge where we are not in a position to pay, and the employees get little frustrated, especially if these were paid on a regular basis and it is not pending for more than a month or something.
And especially workers.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, Jasveen.
Yes. Another important facet in the employee management is to assure the employees about their jobs and win their trust. And being approachable to the employees. Otherwise, general fear is they give in their resignations and try to go away.
Most difficult task. We
Yes.
cannot, because unless resolution plan, and also that they also know very well, because they ask that questions very repeatedly. Whether new management, it is sure that they should take us, whether there is a provision in the law that they have to take us. So that all is a real acid test for insolvency professional.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Wherever required, the RP or IRP shall appoint accounts, legal or other professionals that he or she may require for assistance. COC may specify certain personnel whose terms of contract should not be altered by the resolution professional without the prior COC approval. Management of sale and purchase functions. This is specifically for manufacturing related corporate debtors or trading related corporate debtors. obtaining data of key suppliers and key customers of the corporate debtor, employing relevant staff to ensure a complete check on the material that is coming into and going out of the premises of the corporate debtor and at all the units. Ensuring that the inward and outward of material is supported by documents, and a copy of such documents is kept with the security, which is regularly verified either by the team of the RP or the RP himself.
One small point I just want to add. I think in your earlier section 28, you had stressed on transaction. So it's very critical when we are talking about sale and purchase function. There cannot be any transaction with the related party, even in the normal course of business, unless it is approved by COC or ratified by COC if it is something to do with the IRP period. This is just one point, very critical, and there can be even when there is an advance payment before the CIRP, parting of any goods, selling of goods to the third party without the approval or without ratification is a definite matter which needs to be considered by the IRP. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. All purchase orders and sale orders shall require specific authority of the resolution professional. Reviewing the orders, the contracts that have been entered into by the corporate debtor with the suppliers and customers to identify if there are no exorbitant conditions in the same. Like Sir said, reviewing related party transactions entered into by the corporate debtor and keeping a regular check on the same, and even the COC exercises its power in the same. Management of accounts and finance department. Understanding the accounts department, the personnel that are employed, the softwares that are used by each corporate debtor, and the books of accounts maintained by them. Taking custody of the books of accounts. This has been extensively discussed earlier as well. To take custody, it should be a real custody and not just a symbolic custody. Depute a trusted senior accountant or a chartered accountant immediately to oversee cash flow, since that becomes a very sensitive part and there are chances of certain untoward incidents in that regard. So it's very important to have a trusted person there.
One second, Jasveen, it is very important to prepare a cash budget as soon as the IRP is appointed as such. And to place, it should be ready to be placed in the COC meeting, in the first meeting itself. So this cash budget, if it is a going concern, it should include the plan for the next 3 months, the purchases, cash flow, inflow, what is the expected cash inflow, outflow, and how is there any deficit, and if there is any deficit, how it needs to be managed. This is just a point I thought fit to share as far as the cash flow aspect is concerned.
Right.
Thank you.
MIS reporting, understanding the MIS softwares, if any, that are being used and maintained by the corporate debtor, giving clear instructions to the employees and heads of each department to report only to the resolution professional, ensuring that the MIS software is being updated even during the CIRP period, and the most important, allowing limited access to MIS systems only on a need-to-know basis to the employees to prevent tampering of any information that is there. Working capital management, the resolution professionals shall ensure optimum inventory management as regards raw materials, finished goods, etc. Most important is to consolidate the data on receivables of the corporate debtor and to make attempts to recover such outstandings of the corporate debtor. Statutory compliance management, obtaining information from the management of all the registrations and licenses which are held by the corporate debtor. Sending intimation to all the government departments regarding initiation of CIRP, and if they have any outstanding, then requesting them to file the claim. Filing of e-form INC 28 on the MCA website as an intimation to the ROC. Ensuring compliances with all the applicable laws, some of which are Income Tax, Companies Act, GST, labor laws, and any other law that may be applicable to the corporate debtor. Reports to be maintained on a monthly basis. This is advisable on a monthly basis. However, it depends on the at the discretion of the resolution professional about the frequency of these reports. First is sales report, purchase report, the position of the profit and loss, which can be presented even before the COC, cash flow statement, as Sir had highlighted already, the changes in the working capital during the period, physical verification of inventory and assets. This is also a safeguard for the RP so that they can ensure the prevention of the asset value. A statement of the CIRP costs and the statement of salary and wages that are being paid.
Just a point, Jasveen, here, physical verification, it can happen that RP or RP's team are not in a position to understand varieties of steel, which are what you call, which maybe some are low value, some are high value. If you come across such a difficulty, there may be a need for taking the support of the external. In one of the cases, I was very worried in the sense that value which appeared in the latest balance sheet was, I got a feeling that kind of value is definitely not there in the factory, and this was more to do with a lot of steel rods, steel pillars and all that. Then I got this is much before the what you call appointment of the valuers. I thought fit before I take the custody, I should have a sense of the valuation of the inventory, and it so happened that the valuation what they give at that point was far less than the what is reflected in the stock statements which is submitted to the bank. So if you feel that you are concerned, I think there may be a need to take some expert help to make sure that value is protected and you are taking custody of a correct value and not some phenomenally huge value for which you may become responsible.
So you took approval of COC for appointing this external expert?
Yes. I mean, initially I informed, it was because this was in the period of the IRP, and I kept them communicated saying that I am taking this help for this particular reason, and then it was ratified in the first COC meeting.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, Jasveen.
Yes. Key considerations in case of operational loss. So on the basis of these reports, if the company is the corporate debtor is seen to incur an operational loss, then the RP may have to take.
Yes, he got disconnected. 1 minute. Just hold on. He will connect. I think just 2 minutes required. This actual possession is a real challenge, actually speaking. How to take it? Physical asset, security. Yeah, Jasveen is back. Yeah, Jasveen.
Key considerations in case of operational losses.
Now this thing you were speaking, but you were not audible.
Okay, I'll just repeat that. I'll just repeat this. Yes. So once we make the profit and loss analysis and cash flow analysis, the RP may have to take the decision whether to continue or not in case the company is the corporate debtor is incurring huge operational losses, and this is to protect the value of the assets of the corporate debtor and prevent asset erosion. For this analysis, the key consideration would be to analyze the fixed cost, variable cost, and semi-variable cost that is being incurred by the corporate debtor. Thereafter, to analyze the impact on customers and the impact on workers on continuing of this operations. Like Sir had also highlighted the example of an hospital. So there the continuing of operations becomes important. So
and then let proposal to before the COC and let COC decide how to do. Though we should pursue it, but still then if the fund cannot be raised and fund is not there, then we should, rather than creating the liability, add more liability, that junction. Yeah. Yeah, please.
One of the key considerations in case of operational loss would also be to raise interim finance if the loss is only due to lack of funds. So under the IBC, section 5, subsection 15 says interim finance means the financial debt that is raised by the resolution professional during insolvency resolution process. Thereafter, section 21C gives the right and authority to the IRP, and it states that the IRP shall have the authority to raise interim finance. Similarly, under section 25(2)C, the resolution professional shall undertake the subject to the approval of the COC shall also have the right to raise interim finance. The key considerations by the resolution professional in raising such interim finance shall be the terms and conditions of the finance, such as the rate of interest, amount of loan, the term and the duration of the loan, subject to the COC approval. The loan agreement shall always be signed by the IRP or RP in such a case. Preferably, the IRP or RP shall request the member banks in the COC to lend interim finance. But the practical difficulty in raising interim finance is that there is an aversion in the mind of the corporate of the financial creditors and banks because the company is already under CIRP.
Here the question comes, it's a contribution to the cost or interim finance when COC contribute.
My view is many public sector banks, when you, especially in a company which is not a going concern and which is not having resources, they have been reimbursing the expenses incurred by the IRP RP. In my view, they are treating it as their cost. That is not appropriate. In my view, it is the cost of the CIRP of the corporate debtor. So even if they reimburse without the interest, these banks, it is essentially interim finance. That is how I would view. But the issue for many of the public sector banks is there is a condition which says that you cannot lend to some what you call companies which have been declared as NPA. That is why they are reluctant to treat it as interim finance, but it is essentially interim finance. That is how I would look at it.
But because we ask contribution if we don't have fund as per the code, right? So it should be contribution or interim finance.
My view is all the expenses which are incurred during the CIRP is a CIRP cost, and any money which is given by these COC members or financial creditors, it is essentially interim finance. They may not want to give that word, in my view.
But in that case, if they don't give interim finance, then how the process will carry on? Because then we can compare, like I have only myself filed the application in the NCLT that the contribution is not given because we don't have fund. And because why this IBC has put that onus on them, because they only take decision to take step or not to take steps. So they have to take onus of contributing towards that cost as the power is there. So if we take it as an interim finance, then interim finance is optional.
No, but Dipti ji, what I think is there is no compulsion for any of the members of the COC to whatever the name you call it, whether to contribute
Contribution or interim finance.
interim finance. So some of the pragmatic banks, PSU banks, have been contributing or financing those costs, but even though there are orders where NCLT has told that I have seen orders which said, if you don't contribute, your claim is also rejected. It has, the adjudicating as authority has gone to so much extreme steps, but I think it is not appropriate. Of course, IRPs, RPs do face problem, but as the law stands, there is nothing which can compel them to do. And with my limited knowledge, such law is not there in UK or US or Germany, because it is what you call, in Germany, there is a law as far as the workman's wages are concerned. I think the government pays for the first 90 days or something like that. But otherwise, because it is, we have to, if we stand in the shoes of the members of the COC, we also we would start questioning the discomfort of.
What happens that whether the company should be going concern or not going concern. Okay, they have been put that COC can decide that we don't want to take it as a going concern, and they can stop the cost. They don't decide. They decide to keep going concern. Then onus of that cost remain on COC.
No, that is true. But what I am sharing is
as per law, there is no clear cut, and it's a big, you can say, confusion that how to do that. Who is responsible now? You incurred and all the liability, and there is no fund. They know that, and still they are doing that.
So
okay,
that is true. But I mean, this may not be the answer. My take on this is, before accepting, in fact, before submitting your expression of interest itself, wherever the corporate debtor and the people who are who may be likely to be the COC members, you should take a call regarding submitting the expression of interest after doing a thorough homework. This may not be possible in each and every case.
Yeah.
But this is the precaution one
because
can take.
The cash flow, you don't know that what is available in public is 1 year back. What is current status quo, you don't know.
I agree.
Yeah. Okay. Jasveen.
Yes. The main hindrances that the IRP or RP faces in carrying out the going concern status or maintaining it is the team of the corporate debtor already has its loyalties towards the board of directors of the corporate debtor, and now seeing a shift into the RP is a hindrance for them. The reluctance to share information with the resolution professional by the directors, the management, as well as the employees, non-cooperation by the board and board of the corporate debtor and its employees, locational barriers faced by the resolution professionals. This is particularly in the cases where the corporate debtor has multiple units spread all over India, so it becomes very difficult for the resolution professional to manage all the units. Understanding the nature of business, scale of operations, the mindset of employees by the resolution professional in a very short time span is a challenge in itself. Remedy for non-cooperation under the IBC is under section 19, as all resolution professionals know, where any personnel of the corporate debtor, its promoters or any other person that are required to assist and cooperate with the IRP or RP do not assist the same, assist the professional. In that case, the IRP can approach the NCLT, Honorable NCLT, for necessary directions. However, obtaining orders of the Honorable NCLT under 19.3 is in itself a very time-consuming process, and the RP or the IRP shall have all supporting documents to prove that they have made all attempts to obtain information related to the corporate debtor before making such an application to the adjudicating authority.
Just a point. So, I mean, Section 19 has become a laughing stock. There is no doubt about it. That is so even when it is filed along with Rule 11 of the NCLT rules. That means it is NCLT can give a simple direction without listening to the other party. But I have seen NCLTs and NCLATs questioning the IRPs or the RPs. When there are issues, they go with it. The immediate question is, why have you filed Section 19 application if you say that the corporate debtors people were not cooperating? This is the very direct question asked on IRPs and RPs by NCLT and NCLATs. So in our we need to, IRPs and RPs need to protect ourselves after making enough efforts to get the cooperation. If we are not successful within 2 weeks, maximum 3 weeks from the date of your appointment, you need to file an appropriate application with Rule 11, whatever it is worth. And I have seen a non-cooperation application filed by an erstwhile IRP. I am a liquidator in one case, which has no decision was made for 1 year. And I impressed personally, I was present last time, and I impressed upon the bench saying that this is the NCLT has a discretion under Rule 11, and this was filed under Rule 11. And this is a case where more than 100 crores asset was there, and the directors are telling that there is nothing. So, so then NCLT was kind enough to pass an order. I insisted that if nothing is there, let them give handing over of all those assets to XYZ. Then the NCLT, was kind enough to pass an appropriate order. Yes, I think there is a huge improvement required from the adjudicating authority in this respect. But whatever it is, we have to do our duty to file this application with Rule 11 if we don't get cooperation.
Yes. Yeah, Jasveen.
Yes. That's it. With this, we come to the end of the presentation.
Oh, great. Mr. Ravindra, I think there was some question or something. Any participant, any question? Any participant? Okay. I think there is no question. Okay, Mr. Ravindra, you have to say anything?
No, I mean, I thank you for this opportunity, and I have enjoyed Jasveen's presentation, which has come out very aptly. I think all critical aspects have been considered by her. So good presentation. Congratulations.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
That is my feeling, and I have enjoyed this session, sharing my experiences. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to be among this knowledgeable participants and both of you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Ravindra, for your time. Thanks, everyone. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.